While the world focuses on missile strikes, drone attacks, and disruption to LNG supplies, there's a quieter but far more insidious crisis unfolding. The ripple effects are already hitting home. Fertilizer shortages threaten India's kharif crop. Global food supply chains are under pressure, and soaring oil prices are stoking inflation across nations. Hi, I'm Chandni Jain, and I will try to decode how Iran's retaliation to US-Israel attack is triggering a global ripple effect. After Israel struck Iran's South Pars gas field, Tehran hit Qatar's Ras Laffan energy hub, the world's largest LNG facility. This is critical. Ras Laffan alone accounts for 20% of global LNG supply. Energy supply, which was already under stress, is going to get further squeezed. Prices are surging and the world doesn't yet have a strategy. Here's the reason for deeper, bigger impact other than keeping the homes warm and people moving. Natural gas is also key to making fertilizers. Disrupt gas, fertilizer supply drops, and food production gets hit. The result? Food shortages, rising prices, and global inflation pressure. This is no longer just a war. It's an economic shock spreading worldwide. And we are not talking about a short-term spike. The economic and supply chain shocks unleashed by the West Asia war could take years to fully rebuild, affecting agriculture, industry, and households worldwide. Let us understand why are we talking fertilizers. LNG is primarily feedstock for urea production. This, combined with shipping disruptions through the Strait of Hormuz, threatens to create a shortfall of around 1 million tons of urea production over a 30-day period, particularly impacting operations ahead of critical kharif planting season. The Indian fertilizer sector is facing significant disruptions due to the ongoing Qatar crisis, with up to 40% of liquefied natural gas, that is LNG, supplies to domestic urea producers being cut. Major urea manufacturers, including IFCO and GNFC, have begun reducing output or shutting down plants due to lack of feedstock. The crisis is critical because March to May is when plants ramp up production for the June commencing kharif season. Global urea prices have jumped over 35% within 10 days of the escalation. Shipping constraints are driving up costs for critical fertilizer inputs like ammonia and sulfur. Shortage of fertilizers will affect agriculture and could result in food shortage. Blockade of Strait of Hormuz is impacting food security. This is a parallel crisis that threatens global food security as farming costs are raised globally. Farmers in the US are already complaining of 30% rise in fertilizer prices. Gas prices in Europe have already surged by 25% since the war has started. Additionally, the world is about to face a shortage of industrial raw materials like aluminium, limestone, and specialized polymers used in construction and manufacturing. All of this are majorly produced in the Gulf region. Let's talk about diamond trade. The Persian Gulf is a crucial hub for jewelry industry. Diamond imports are threatened. India imports over 40% of its diamonds from the Gulf. Talking of the global markets, on March 19, 2026, global markets tumbled as Middle East tensions and US Fed hawkishness on inflation drove sell-offs. Oil prices have surged by 3%, hitting $110 per barrel, raising fears of prolonged conflict and economic disruption. Indian markets slipped again. The Sensex was already down by over 1,000 points and Nifty fell by over 500 points. The closure of airspace in the Middle East has already disrupted global flight routes, increasing jet fuel costs and forcing airline rerouting. And the long-term environmental destruction ranges from fires, increased toxic emissions, and the potential destruction of infrastructure, including water desalination plants in the region. Undoubtedly, the war has threatened to push the economies of the Gulf Arab nations into severe recession and at best a potential global stagflation for the world. Overall, the picture looks very grim. What began as a regional energy conflict has now become a global economic and humanitarian crisis. The impact of this war in West Asia will be felt for years. Nations, including India, have to brace for both immediate and long-term consequences as the crisis still unfolds.